Well, in these waning days of the pandemic, we're being asked to weigh risks and benefits as we start to re-socialize.
And we're trying to figure out what's going to make us happy and feel safe.
There's so much information out there, and our happiness expert, Dr. Christine Whelan, is here to help us challenge our psychological assumptions and to try and make us smarter and happier decisions. Welcome back, Christine.
Thanks, good to be here.
Hi there, good to see you.
Are we good at assessing risk?
No, we are terrible at assessing risk. And we're also, interestingly enough, terrible at trying to determine what's going to make us happy in the future. My mother actually was an epidemiologist, and her favorite line was that epidemiology is about the science of helping everybody die young at a very old age. So the idea of living and being happy to our fullest, but understanding how to assess risks so that we maximize our well-being.
Well, that's never been more challenging than it is right now, right? Now the pandemic is easing up and we're easing back into the new normal, and what we're used to we think is safe, right?
Exactly. So whatever it is that we do on a daily basis, we adapt to, which is very good from a psychological sense to adapt to our surroundings. But that also makes us not so good at assessing the risk with certain things. Like, for example, driving a car. We tend to think that driving a car is safe because we do it every day. Then we tend to think that maybe flying in a plane is less safe because we don't do it as often. But actually the reverse is true. It is much safer to fly in a plane than it is to get behind the wheel of your own car, and yet we're not so good at assessing those risks on a daily basis.
You say confirmation bias trips us up. What do you mean by that?
So we tend to look for data points and stories that confirm our existing beliefs. So, for example, if we think that it is dangerous to fly on a plane, then we might find stories and magnify them when there is a difficulty on an airplane. When we think that something is safe, then we just kind of ignore it. But if there are, for example, with the vaccine right now, some small cases of challenges, if you are concerned about the vaccine, then you do tend to magnify it and use those stories to confirm your existing opinions.
And so what is your advice about the best way to handle that? Do you have to counter-program yourself?
It kind of is. So the best way to deal with that is, first of all, to understand that we focus on the things that we're looking for, right? So you can even think about it in a parking lot, right? We focus on the glitz in a parking lot. So we look over the Toyota Corollas, right? And we mostly focus on the BMWs and the Mercedes, and then we say, well, everybody has one. But in terms of our health and happiness and risk, we also tend to fear the things that we talk about more, that we make into a bigger deal. So if we magnify things and we talk about them more, then we actually could create a fear in us that doesn't need to be there.
So we're facing re-socializing, and some people are afraid of that. How do you tackle that?
So first of all, we do need to be patient with ourselves, but I also think it's kind of important to, in a very safe way, push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone and figure out what is a real versus a hypothetical risk, right? So if you are putting yourself in real risk, obviously you don't want to do that, right? You want to be physically safe and you want to be emotionally safe. But then there are these hypothetical risks that happen much less often. So for example, if you get the vaccine and you are out there, you can begin to re-socialize in a safe way, following all CDC guidelines. And you know what? It may be exhausting, and that's okay, because you can take a nap and recover and get back out there.
You're a big proponent of the theory of delayed gratification too, right?
I am. So we tend to prefer things that we can get now versus things that will benefit us in the future, right? The cupcake now versus the beach body later, or the Netflix binge now versus all the work we're going to have to do later, right? Well, when it comes to investing in our future selves, I have this wonderful quote that I put on my desk. It says, "Do something today that your future self, that your self of tomorrow will thank you for." And so with all of this, I think that is a great way to assess our risk and to assess our happiness. What can we do today that our future selves will thank us for?
Great advice as usual. Christine, thanks for being with us today.
Great to see you, Christine. Thanks so much.
Thank you.